Today we're going to get ready to change the chain, or actually not change the chain, but put the new chain on, get it measured, figure out where we need to cut it at, and get it all bolted on and get everything else put back on and ready to go. So right here's the chain that I got. It's a DID 530 chain. There we have it. This chain here, it's a 150 link chain. So I think usually on my last chain, I think I ran 144 links. This time I might cut it down to about 140 or 142, something like that. But once I get it on there and get it measured out to exactly where I want it, then I'll figure out from there exactly where I want to cut it down at. So let me go ahead and throw this on. And one thing to remember with the chain, when your chain comes, it's already lubed up. So it got grease on it. So the last thing you want to do is let it drag on the ground or touch the ground and get all dirty and everything. So I'm going to go find something real quick to put up under there so I can stretch it out and get it on the sprockets. And then we'll be ready to rock and roll. Alright, so all I did was just get a little piece of cardboard, put it back there where the chain gonna be hanging down at, and then I just put the wrapping that it came in on top of that, just so it's not on the ground itself. From there, you're gonna basically thread the needle. You put the chain up on the back of the back sprocket, roll the tire forward so it spins on up, and then you get it on up here around the front sprocket. Now from the last video, when we changed out the front sprocket, we had it in gear. That way the sprocket wouldn't move. So now you got to put it back in neutral. That way the front sprocket will spin. And now really all you're doing is just pulling it on through and feeding it all the way on through there. So let me finish feeding it on through. I don't want the back to start pulling forward and get on the ground. So we'll be right back. Alright, so once I get the chain all the way around, basically all I do is take it, I'll pull it up and see where they meet at and see how far up it go, and then from there I decide on which one I want to take out based off of how far back I want it. Right here, it's about how far back I want it. I know it's going to go a little bit further than this based off of when you tighten the chain. But it'll be right around that same mark once I finish. I'm actually where I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna have to slide it just a teeny bit forward. So I'm gonna end up cutting off 12 links, which will give me 138 links on this chain, and then be getting ready to put it on, tighten it on up. So let me go ahead and cut these links off and I'll be right back. Before I cut the links off, I want to make sure you know, so I got the chain breaker tool, and basically it'll go, this pin in here will basically go right on top of one of the pins in there. It'll go right on top of the pin in there. And as you tighten it, it'll push that pin on out the other side, and then from there, that's where the links will come off at. So I'm gonna get to that real quick and I'll be right back, show you the finished results. Alright, so now we have the chain that came off. So basically it just pushes the pin all the way out until you can pull it on off the end. And from there, just throw that to the side somewhere. Now we got the master link. Now this master link seems to be a press-on master link. So that's what most people like, is the press on. I don't really care either way, even though people for some reason say that the press on is better. They scared that the clip on will pop off, but I never had issue with it popping off. So whether I'm on a track, whether I'm on a street, racing, wherever, never had an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these on out, pop them on. As you see, they got 4 O-rings to go in there. So 2 go on this side. Once it goes through the chain itself, then 2 more go on the other side, and then the other side of the chain, the link goes on there as well, and then you'll use the chain breaker tool to press it on. You use the press pieces for it. So let me go ahead and get this set up, and I'll be right back. Alright, so you see we got our first 2 O-rings on. We got the master link through the other links already. So now the only thing to do is put the last 2 O-rings on, and then I'm gonna put this on and basically use the tool breaker tool with the press bit, and then just press it on until it's good to go. They're gonna slide through the holes, and then they're gonna rib it out once they press on. You want to make sure that you lube up the master link and the O-rings real well. The kits usually come with its own grease, which I got it right here. It got its own chain lube, so lube it up real well. Make sure you don't lose the O-rings. Get them on in there, and then we'll be ready to tighten it up in a second. Alright, so when you're working with this tool here, you want the side with the 2 holes to go over the back side where the rivets are, and they're going to sit right over the rivets. The other side here is the side you're going to actually press and make the little notches once it comes through on this side. So you want to make sure you put it on there good, but you also don't want to put it on there too tight, because if you put it too tight, then it's gonna squeeze the chain and start kinking up. So you want to, as you put it on, you want to keep checking it to make sure you're not going too tight with it. Let me stick this on here, and I'll show you what it looked like when it's finished. Alright, now I misquoted myself on that last one. I think I meant to say this side here on the when you're doing the pressing the chain on, this goes over the front side of the plate that you're putting on, and the solid side goes on the back side, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna, as you're pressing it on, you're gonna press it on until those come into the holes on there, and then once you get that part done, you're gonna go and you're gonna get your riveting tool here, and then you're gonna use the same press, and you're gonna put it on the back side with the anvil. Get your right size anvil that you need to go on the back side. Then your riveting tool is gonna come in from the front side right into those 2 little holes and rivet it out onto the chain, and then you'll be done with the chain. The master link fully put on. Once you rivet it, it's really hard to see. You won't be able to see it from the video, and it's still kind of hard to see just looking at it in person, but once you riveted those 2, it flanges out just a little bit, and it flanges out just enough to keep the link secure on there. So just make sure when you're doing it, you don't want to over tighten it or try to flange it out too much. So the next thing we got now is just putting this cover back on over here, and once we get this put back on, then I'm going to tighten the chain. And when you tighten the chain, all you're doing is you pretty much for this style, this first inner bolt here on both sides, you just really just tighten it in, and what it's going to do is just tighten it in. This is going to slide back and it's going to tighten up the chain. So once I get to that part, then I'll show you and give you the correct adjustment for the tightness of the chain. So I'm going to go ahead and put this part on and get the side piece bolted back on, and then I'll be right back with y'all. Alright, one thing I wanted to make sure I mention on here too is when you're putting this back on, or actually before you take it off, you want to take like a little marker, a little black marker or something. I didn't have a marker at the time, so I just used a little screwdriver. And you want to mark where this opening is, this gap is right here on this right here. Because you want that to line back up, because when you put it back on, if it doesn't line back up, then you're going to have a problem with adjusting your shift lever correctly. So you mark that, put it back exactly where it was, and then your shift lever and everything can line up with your foot the proper way that it was before you took it off. Otherwise, like I said, you have a time trying to get everything aligned back up, adjusting the shift linkage and everything, trying to make sure it gets back to where it was. So got that all back together. Next thing I got to do is just put my speed sensor back in and put the side fairing on, and we'll be ready for the tightening of the chain.